Hello, dear audiences. Welcome to the show. Jack Shaw once again on the East-West show with G&E TV. This time focusing on our local politics. When you talk about local politics, you're really talking about things around you. I recall there's one time I had this wonderful conversation with a friend of mine, Mayor of the City of Alhambra, Mr. Stephen Sham. He had a famous quote that I applied many times, more than 10 times, many times in my show, that he says, quote unquote, what is local politics? Local politics could be a tree in front of your house, could be a gutter behind your house, whatever. And anyway, those are small matters around you that you live a day-to-day life that you encounter with. So today we're talking about our beautiful city, our home city, West Covina. And with me is one of the very hopeful candidate for city councilman, Mr. Joe Gardner. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here again, Jack.
All right, very good. I believe most of my audiences, at least a majority of my audiences, know Mr. Joe Gardner for his activities, not only by the signs on the street, though. You see their activities of their Meals on Wheels, that program, which is a big one. It's really the program that touched my heart. And also the recent newsletters about his approach. So I will start by expressing my welcome to you to the show, and also let's bring yourself update to my audiences, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, and hello to your audience out there. Everything's been...
And it's your audiences.
Yeah,
I
guess.
Sure, all right, good, right. Your audiences. Good.
It's always good to be here, and we've been very busy in the last several weeks, actually a few months, trying to get out there, engage voters, talk to folks in West Covina, and let them know about our campaign and our ideas and concepts about making our government better. So I think it's been going very well.
And how is the situation now?
It's, well, in West Covina, we have a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. And, you know, I've been talking to several people.
Let's talk about the contenders. How many contenders you have, or how many, well, whatever, you're running against or running together for how many positions?
There is 2 positions open. Mayor Sykes is up for re-election, and as far as I understand, there is myself, another man named Lloyd Johnson.
Oh, Lloyd Johnson. I think I met with him. Yes.
Right. And there may be a 3rd person, and I'm not sure who. Brian Gutierrez is another candidate.
Brian Gutierrez. That's the 3rd.
Right.
That's the 3rd. In other words, the 3 of you.
Correct.
3 of you for 2 positions.
Yes.
Well, very good. All right, good. And the reason I'm checking is that I want to bring a picture, clearer picture to my audience that after all, well, things are not that bad, because you're talking about 3 versus 2, that kind of situation. Anybody might have like 2/3 of the chance, right? So speaking of chances, you are not talking about a random pick. You're talking about your constituents, right? Your voters do have their own choice.
Correct.
Yeah. What is their own choice? Take my example. Take me myself, for example, though. Whoever understands me, number 1. Whoever can represent me. Whoever has some credentials for me to consult about, right? Whoever has a plan. Right?
Right.
Absolutely. And of course, on top, we're talking about the charisma, the whatever, even the smiles, right? Okay, now, those are unnecessary. You mentioned the city for having lots of problems right now. Can you be more specific about the city problems?
Yes, actually, last week a report, an audit report, was issued by the State Controller, which I have right here, and State Controller Betty Yee had been doing an an examination of the city's finances, and there were a lot of issues of concern. Words like pervasive, serious problems with the city's finances and how they account for their money. I read this report in depth, and it would appear there are maybe some systemic problems in the city's finances, how they handle our taxpayer dollars, and every citizen in West Covina should be concerned about that.
Yeah. And to my audience, I owe you an explanation about the creation of this show. It is totally because of a newsletter that I received talking about West Covina city budget, and the term they applied was that to call it a budget transparency.
Correct.
That's why we quote unquote the whole thing on this big screen to name this show with, because it caused my kind of interest to look into it to see what exactly is it, the lack of the transparency. Is there any examples of why, how money is misallocated, or sometime in the worst case, is lost track?
Yeah, I mean, it's very disturbing to not account for millions of dollars in taxpayer funds. Revenue was understated. There are several issues. You can just go down a long laundry list of problems that kind of originate from the city finance department. And I think, you know, the city itself and that finance department has suffered through employee losses. So employees were moved around within the city's finance department to do the work. And unfortunately, some of that work was not done properly. And so it raises a lot of concern. I'm hoping that, and now there were vacancies that are now being filled at the City Hall in the finance department, and hopefully issues like this controller's report will improve, because it is very disturbing.
You know, Joe, it is quite a concern to everybody, especially in terms of taxpayer dollars, right? The taxpayer dollars are the hard-earned dollars. They are not stock exchange dollars, and they are not money from heaven. They are not money grow on trees, right? Or you dig out like potatoes. No, they are the hard-earned money, right? So how about that? Let's take a break, and after that, when we come back, I want you to give our audiences, including me, some examples about misallocation, or even some of the cases that lost track on certain amount of dollars. And you mentioned about misallocation or swapping around employees to get by, right? So, and the details, can we touch that, please?
Of course.
Okay, sure. My dear audience, today joining me is one of the most hopeful candidates for City Council West Covina, Mr. Joe Gardner. And I believe that we're touching base, right? Okay, now, so stay with us. We'll be right back.